Do you know all the different ways that identity theft can happen? Have you ever been a victim of identity theft? Consumers just like you need to know the answers to these questions. By the end of this presentation, my goal is for you to have valuable information on how to keep your identity safe. My name is Molly Harper, and I'm here to discuss how consumers just like you and I can protect ourselves. I have 3 important steps that you need to know to protect yourself from identity theft. Knowing how identity theft can happen, knowing how to safeguard your identity, and knowing how to handle identity theft if it does happen. Let's start with the first step, knowing how identity theft can happen. One way is through mail theft, where thieves can gain access to pre-screened credit offers, bank statements, or even benefit information that contains personal identifying information. Another way is through dumpster diving, because thieves will go through a person's trash in order to find anything with identity information on it, such as old bills, bank statements, and even correspondence. Identity theft can also happen through phishing, which occurs when a phony email requesting personal information is sent to consumers by cybercriminals. Another way identity theft can happen is through skimming, where thieves can insert manipulation devices on ATMs and credit card readers to record consumers' card information. Yet another way is when there is a breach of confidential consumer information at businesses such as credit card companies, banks, retail stores, or even online shopping sites. Finally, identity theft can happen due to direct theft, such as a stolen purse, a pickpocketed wallet, or even stolen records from an employer or business. Once you know how identity theft can happen, the next step involves being proactive. In the second step, you, as a consumer, need to know how to safeguard your identity from criminals in order to avoid becoming a victim. You can invest in a lock for your mailbox, drop your mail at the post office, or even invest in a P.O. box. You should also consider placing a temporary hold on mail delivery when going out of town. You need to shred all documents that contain personal identifying information instead of throwing them in the trash. You also need to avoid opening or responding to emails from unknown or suspicious senders. It is very important to keep your PIN numbers and passwords private and hard to guess. You should monitor your credit reports regularly from each of the 3 main credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Instead of checking all 3 at the same time once a year, you should space out your monitoring by checking one of the 3 for free every 4 months. Finally, you should take pictures of everything in your wallet: driver's license, insurance cards, credit and debit cards, in case of physical theft. By following these tips, you can create a solid barrier between yourself and identity theft. If you do become a victim of identity theft, my final step will help limit the effects. Therefore, my third and final step is knowing how to handle identity theft if it does happen. You should immediately notify your bank and credit card companies. All credit and debit cards need to be canceled, and any fraudulent charges should be contested. You also need to notify all 3 credit bureaus. They will lock or freeze your credit reports so no new credit accounts can be opened without strict verification. You should also notify the Social Security Administration so your Social Security number can be flagged for theft, and a complaint should also be filed with the Federal Trade Commission. An identity theft affidavit can be filed with the IRS for tax theft or with the Postal Inspection Service for mail fraud. By following these tips, you will decrease the likelihood of becoming a victim of identity theft again. The 3 important steps that I've just discussed outline what you and I as consumers need to know to protect ourselves from identity theft. In conclusion, let me review these 3 steps. 1. Consumers need to know how identity theft can happen to them. 2. Consumers need to know how to safeguard their identity. And 3. Consumers need to know how to handle identity theft if it does happen to them. Identity theft has been the #1 reported consumer scam to the Federal Trade Commission for the last 15 years. Do you want to be part of that statistic? For questions or further information, please visit the Federal Trade Commission's website at www.consumer.ftc.gov.